Well, AI, it's going to raise productivity generally, and you should all pay attention because it is so dramatic how it improves white-collar productivity, and later with the robotics, not yet, but eventually blue-collar productivity. People sometimes lose sight of the fact that this is the biggest productivity advance in our lifetimes.
Steve Jobs sent an email to employees, and he said stocks go up and down, but remember, Apple is only as good as our next amazing product.
I think Jobs had it right. We're only as good as our ability to execute, prosecute our mission. Because in some sense, there's no God-given right for companies to even exist forever, right? They have to serve a social purpose. And our mission is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And as long as we're building things for that, then I think we have a right to exist.
So Microsoft recently published their Future of Work report. I believe this was December 2023 when it was published. And in the past years, they've talked quite a bit about remote work and how companies and people can sort of transition into remote work. But this year, can you guess what the big topic is this year? I'll give you a hint. It starts with A and it ends with I. Yes, it's AI. And Microsoft, surprisingly, I think to a lot of us, really took the center stage in a lot of the AI developments. Bill Gates apparently was talking to OpenAI and Sam Altman way back when they were just training GPT-1 and 2. So he was in their offices before most of the people have ever even heard of this technology. And of course, the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, to me, he strikes me as this nice, positive, soft-spoken, and very nice person, but just an absolute killer in business. So let's really quickly look through this Future of Work report. Let's skip the fluff. They're saying that LLMs, amongst other things, have created an unprecedented opportunity for Microsoft and other companies to reimagine how AI and other digital technologies can make work better for everyone. Here's the first page that's kind of the content. Lab experiments show LLMs can substantially improve productivity on common information work tasks. But there's an asterisk. So when doing information work, people do it faster with a higher quality of output when using AI. People take 37% less time on common writing tasks, greater than 40% higher quality on a consulting project, and twice as fast at solving simulated decision-making problems when using an LLM-based search. Now, you probably tried Bing Chat for LLM searches. You probably also tried Bard with Google. The one that's been really holding my attention recently is Perplexity. I gotta give those guys credit. They're punching above their weight. They came out of nowhere and created something that I think does have a chance to impact search engines, how people use search engines. And they're saying that this increased speed and quality can come with moderately lower correctness. And when LLM make mistakes, these consultants have 19 percentage points more likely to produce incorrect solutions. But there are simple UX, user interface-based interventions that can work well to help people navigate these trade-offs. So here they're talking about Copilot for Microsoft 365, so their own product, so they're kind of pitching it, but it does seem like it's producing significant value. So for meeting summarization, information retrieval, and content creation, the people using Copilot using AI completed these tasks 26 to 73% faster than those without it. Most people do want to continue using it. Most people said, yes, I want more of this in my life. And there's no statistically significant effect on quality of the work. In one particular study for a meeting summarization, it seems like their summarization of the meeting was just slightly not quite as good as the users that did not have access to these AI tools. So it was much faster, but it missed an item or two on the summarization. People working in internet security were 44% more accurate in answering security questions or examining the security incidents that they looked at. And AI-written emails, users enjoyed using that to write emails, although sometimes they could tell the difference. But 68 were happy to use it. And people with access to Copilot found the task to be 58% less draining. I love when corporate reports use words that, maybe don't sound too corporate, but are like the best word to use. I mean, there are certain tasks that are draining. That's the best word for it. Reducing it is excellent for workers. And 72% agreed that Copilot helped them spend less mental effort on the mundane or repetitive tasks. The evidence point that LLMs and AI, they help the least experience the most of all. And we've seen this in other studies as well. And actually, I'm looking here at the bottom. This is the exact paper that we covered earlier. So it's Navigating the Jagged Frontier. So we did a deep dive on this one, and basically what it showed that it really helped to raise sort of that bottom half of the people it had a much bigger impact on them, a bigger positive impact. So AI is good for both the people that are skilled and very good at their job, but it's even better for people that are not as skilled because they helped disseminate certain information that the experienced and high-skilled workers already had. And GitHub Copilot was more helpful to developers with less experience. So the bottom half of subjects in terms of skills benefited by 43%, a 43% improvement, and the top half, their performance increased by 17. So here's Bloom's taxonomy. We have at the bottom, remember, recall facts and basic concepts, understand and explain ideas or concepts, apply, use information in new situations, analyze, draw connections amongst ideas, and evaluate, justify a stand or a decision. And at the top, we have create, produce new or original work. And so for critical thinking, LLM-based tools can be useful provocateurs. So these AI provocateurs would challenge assumptions, encourage evaluation, and offer counter arguments, which this would be a very interesting area of study because for me, I would easily take criticism from an AI, from, ChatGPT. Probably, and I hate to admit this, probably a lot easier than I would from a human being. But I'm sure there's a percentage of people that would hate being criticized by an AI. It would be curious to know what percent of people that is. Are there more people that are more accepting of AI use, of AI criticism, or are there more people that just will not have tolerance for that? But the idea here is can we use AI to contribute to critical thinking development? By the way, if you haven't tried this with ChatGPT on your phone, next time, definitely try this out. This thing is, I think, a lot more powerful than it gets credit for. Hit that headphones icon right there, and this voice chat will appear. Now, I find that by default, probably because I take pauses between words as I think, this thing tends to interrupt me. But here's the pro tip. Hold down this big white button when you're talking. So just put your whole thumb on there, hold it down, and then you can speak at length. You can speak for minutes at a time, take pauses. The next time you have to do a brainstorming session, just outline some thoughts to ChatGPT, what you're thinking about, tell it what you want it to help with, maybe just help you brainstorm or help break down some of your ideas, and then chat back and forth with it. I have found that it really helps me refine my thinking, specifically because it's able to throw more ideas at you. So that kind of brainstorming session, for example, I can say things like these strategies work well for this thing that I'm trying to do. Let's find some more strategies like that and refine them. And then it'll walk you through that and give you ideas as you're doing it. Very underrated, I would say. And AI can enhance micro productivity practices. It can be harnessed to augment and improve human capabilities through novel task management strategies. So this is actually very similar to what I was just talking about. So for example, if you tell the AI, I want to exercise more frequently, it'll break this up into 4 different tasks like finding a workout buddy, gym membership, exercise schedule, and start working out this Monday and stick with it. So it naturally breaks it up into sort of next action tasks for you to follow. So if you take high-level tasks and you break them up into multi-step action plans, in this particular study, the completion rate for these tasks went from 37.8 to 47.1. So having the AI constantly kind of break up your big task into smaller chunks and then remembering those things really helps people complete more activities. This isn't as draining if portions of it is automated. And also what they're saying here is these things might be easier to automate once you're able to break them down. For example, create a weekly exercise schedule might be a ChatGPT prompt. So this gets automated to AI. So not only does it chunk down the big task into smaller ones, but it can probably also start maybe automating some of them, automatically completing them by prompting itself or prompting another tool that it can use. And analyzing and integrating may become more important skills than searching and creating. So back in the days when you had to do research, if you're writing a paper or doing whatever content production you're doing, you have to type manually, write code, design images. This can be greatly enhanced by AI. Writing with AI is shown to increase the amount of text produced as well as increase writing efficiency. And because there's more text, the skills of doing research, conceptualization, planning, prompting, and editing might be more important. And they're saying skills that are not directly related to content production might be more valued. Things like leading, dealing with critical social situations, navigating interpersonal trust issues, and demonstrating emotional intelligence. So this will be very important until we all get outsourced to AI. And then there will be no more critical social situations, trust issues, and emotional intelligence, or emotions of any sort. Next, we have constructing optimal prompts is hard. So precise prompt composition is critical to achieving the LLM output that you want. Similar prompts can yield significantly different results. So prompt engineering is important, but constructing effective prompts is becoming easier. We've looked at a few studies where we can see that the LLMs themselves are helping to improve prompt performance. They write their own prompts and test them to see if they can improve it. Multitask and chain of thought training data significantly improved instruction following capabilities. People are also learning to prompt more effectively. And I've definitely noticed this. I think using LLMs, using this generative AI in general, the more you use it, the more of a natural sense you have for what things work, what things don't, because it's kind of like a black box. You know what you're putting in, then something happens, and then you have the output. And as you keep doing this over and over and over again, you get just a better understanding, like almost an instinctual, intuitive understanding of what it does in there. That might be hard to describe to somebody in a set of rules. You just have to put the time into it. So using these sorts of AIs, that could be just a function of time, how much time you put in using them. Training on how to prompt can lead to greater productivity gains. Copilot Lab is one of Microsoft's efforts to help people learn how to effectively interact with LLMs by providing a collection of suggested prompts. It really does start to feel like Microsoft is kind of ahead of the curve on this AI thing into bringing it to the public, using all their distribution, all their users to start like teaching people that have never used it to effectively interact with it. And they're kind of pushing it on you. I don't know if for those of you that have Windows, if you've seen this happening, I mean, they're not asking you nicely. They're like, you're going to use these AIs in everything. Humans and AI can collaborate in many ways, from each party acting as a collaborative team member, to a person overseeing an automation loop, to AI simulating a human. So this is interesting. I haven't seen this before. Distribution of task load between humans and computers. So L is the load or task. So L is the thing that you're trying to do. The H is the human. That's the me and you bearing the load. So extend is where the computer, the C, makes the human better able to complete certain tasks. So I'm guessing reach a higher ability to do it, whereas relieve is just, make the job easier for them. With backup, if the human drops the ball, or the load, I should say, the computer will pick it up or work as a backup. And of course, this last picture where the human is out of the picture and it's just the computer doing all the work, all the labor, handling the entire load. This is the thing that's very exciting, but a little bit scary at the same time. Exciting because maybe we get to work a little bit less. Scary because, well, a lot of how the world functions revolves around people working. And here they're saying that appropriate reliance on AI is key in human AI interactions. For many reasons, people often over-rely on AI, and over-reliance on AI leads to poor performance. But there are techniques that exist for reducing over-reliance. Basically, onboarding/training, transparency techniques, uncertainty visualization, so we're about to see the next slide, I guess, cognitive forcing functions, and more. But this is going to be a big area of study, I think. Like, how do we make humans use the awesome power of AI without just completely shutting off our brains and letting bad things happen? Uncertainty visualization can help create appropriate reliance. Here, for example, if you ask it a certain question with a lot of like text specs, it answers, but it highlights certain portions of the answer with red, which means that it's low confidence. It's not sure. So here they're talking about something called co-audit, that's the first time I'm hearing that particular word in relation to LLMs. So when you prompt the LLM and you get the response back, that's called prompt engineering, or, the improvement of that prompt is called prompt engineering. But they're saying make it a loop to where you audit the response to check it for mistakes. And with that information, you can improve your prompt engineering. And it looks like Microsoft has proposed principles for co-audit. Gen AI demands greater metacognition from users, but it also has potential to support it. And so working with AI improved the user's metacognition, which is the ability to analyze, understand, and control one's own thought process. Things like self-awareness, flexibility, and well-calibrated confidence. Users of AI system must be self-aware and explicit about their goals to translate them into precisely specified prompts. That's an interesting thing to think about. When you're telling an LLM what you want done, you have to tell it exactly what you want, which interestingly, this metacognition, I guess, is a skill like any other. The more you use it, the better it gets. And it's a skill that you're going to need to use Gen AI, or at least use it effectively. So AI can help you identify and organize ideas. For example, the Grapholog is a system that creates interactive graphical node link diagrams. So you can have information exploration, organization, and comprehension. So for example, this line where AI systems can be divided into narrow and general AI, the Grapholog can sort of visually represent that. So AI systems are divided into narrow AI and general AI. And then here are the things that each of them do. AI is natively English and not so good at the other languages, but improving. LMs can aid creative activities. And this is an interesting thing to say. So preserving people's agency over the creative process, the orchestration, is fundamental for successful, meaningful augmentation. I think this is something that we're going to be dealing with. It's as AI does more and more and humans feel like they're doing less and less, what novel ways can we have so that we can express our personalization, our uniqueness? So Bing Chat is frequently used for professional and more complex tasks, and almost 70% of Bing Chats are in professional tasks. And there's a much bigger chance that the people using Bing Chat will use those higher level things on this taxonomy of remember, understand, apply, and analyze, and create. So we're asking Chat to do more than we would Bing search. And then there's fast AI and slow AI. Basically, there are times when people will be willing to wait for a response if that response is significantly better. So people are willing to wait hours and days for responses to many types of high importance questions. The slow AI user experience needs to be different than the fast AI experience, clearly communicating the status of the system and helping people understand the benefits of the delayed response, as well as ways to interrupt or redirect if it's not working out. Haven't seen too many examples of this yet, but I can definitely see where this would be useful. The closest thing I can think of is something like AutoGen or ChatDev, where you might be waiting something like 5 minutes for it to finish completing a task, like putting together code for a game and then writing up a manual for that game. I think it's not uncommon to wait, 5+ minutes to get those results back, but you're happy to sit there and wait because you want to make sure there's no bugs, you want to make sure everything's working properly, etc. And so tools like GitHub Copilot can generate code from natural language prompts. And for a specific task with JavaScript, that was completed 56% faster with GitHub Copilot than without it. While some lab studies found no effect of AI programming assistance on completion time or correctness, developers still appreciated. This is interesting. I wonder how that's possible that there's no effect. And AI programming assistance reduces task times for repetitive tasks, boilerplate code, and discovering APIs. Then there's new research on benefits of LLMs in education. Pre-prompting LLMs to act like tutors is showing promise. There are some issues, for example, where LLMs act as steroids, where students using them as substitutes for studying or doing their own work at the cost of learning skills and concepts themselves. But the positive is that this can provide students with more one-on-one education, more tutoring. I've covered Bloom's 2 Sigma problem in another video, where basically if you think about, the students, how well they do, this is kind of like that normal curve, the bell curve, showing how well they do. So this is kind of like the average student. These are like the top performing student, A+. These are like the F's and D's over here. There are 2 very simple things that we can do to completely change how well these students do. One is tailoring. One is kind of making the speed at which they learn custom to them. And one is one-on-one education, one-on-one tutoring. So having access to a one-on-one tutor. And that shifts that curve 2 standard deviations to the right to where most students now become rock stars. But of course, this would be extremely expensive to do with human tutors. But AI has the potential to really help in this area. And this is the MMLU, which is a medical knowledge benchmark. So as you can see here, Gemini Ultra and GPT-4 do very well at it. There's some shenanigans going here and how they're choosing their answers, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. They basically both kind of picked the most favorable sort of how they prompt the model to get those answers, to get the highest score possible. But just so each one wants to be in the number 1 spot. But whatever else, the point is these are rapidly improving. LLMs can rapidly analyze data from humans and generate synthetic data, so they can create their own data to accelerate science in new ways. They can simulate data prior to running experiments on humans. Instant AI feedback may improve real-time interactions in meetings. So monitoring and displaying participation and agreement rates during meetings can encourage more equal participation, higher agreement. Yeah, I hope stuff like this doesn't become a thing where employees have to try to game the system to be like, oh, I have to, participate once every 5 minutes. And so they kind of just start trying to kind of game the system with AI as sort of being like the referee. That sounds kind of scary. Hopefully AI can improve how these interactions take place without sort of making all these things like very robotic. There's some more AI in meetings. I get that this is a large corporation and they really, really love meetings. I'm going to skip some of these meeting stuff. Sure, meetings are important, but AI can help teams plan and iterate on workflows. We've seen some great results from this where GPT-4 was controlling multiple things in Minecraft to try to coordinate and complete tasks. This isn't Voyager AI. It's a different thing that we've covered. And they found that these AIs, naturally, GPT-4 is really good at assigning people to complete tasks. If they're done with their task, kind of pulling them back and having them contribute their sort of extra time, their extra bandwidth to other tasks, and kind of quickly doing that whole thing with task delegation, informing people about what they should be doing, breaking down steps, etc. And digital knowledge is moving from documents to dialogue. So instead of a PDF, you're chatting with ChatGPT about what's in the PDF. And LLMs may help address knowledge fragmentation, where basically certain people know some key information within the company and others have a hard time accessing them if they don't have face-to-face with that person. And the introduction of AI into new organizations is a socio-technical process. Basically, don't shove it in too fast. People get mad.
Let's maybe phrase that differently.
Basically talking about how to help people adapt to the changes. Knowledge worker perceptions of AI influence adoption. So this is kind of an interesting point that as these AIs do more, humans have to oversee what they're doing, what these intelligent systems are doing, and intervene when needed. But that is where we really, really struggle. Trying to watch something and make sure nothing bad happens. I mean, that's how you fall asleep. Air traffic controllers, guards on duty, just sitting, watching, waiting for something to go wrong is very monotonous, very boring. And we'll have to figure out how to tackle that challenge. And then you talk about moral crumple zones, where basically don't unfairly blame the workers if some automations fail. And some early evidence shows disparities in adoption following traditional digital divide. I'm going to show a few examples here of how different ethnic groups and different education levels, how wide the gap is of how they adopt, for example, ChatGPT. And most jobs will have some of their tasks affected by LLMs. 19% of workers will see at least half of their tasks impacted. The least impacted ones will be like real estate and equipment rental services, healthcare, construction, etc. Highly impacted: technology, information and media, accommodation and food services, financial, professional services, etc. And innovation is the secret sauce to creating more jobs. So here's what humans can do. And this circle is what AI is getting really good at. So as it gets bigger and bigger, we need to find new tasks that humans can do with the help of machines, new tasks that we haven't seen before. For example, Taylor Swift deepfakes would be an example of that. And finally, they have a call to action: lead like a scientist. They're talking about how to behave in times of these significant changes brought on by AI. They're saying leaders can take insight from the scientific process, developing a hypothesis and metrics, then doing the experimentation to test the hypothesis. Whenever we have significant change and new technology developing, we do have a lot of opportunity. This is going back to the times when we developed some of the earliest technologies, like the spear, for example. Some people didn't like this change and they said we should ban it. It's bad for us. But the people that learned to use the spear improved their lives and did a lot better in life. They were able to hunt better, protect themselves better, etc. The people that wanted to ban the spear, well, eventually they got the point. And same thing is happening here. Those conversations about banning or pausing AI, they're rapidly cooling. The people that are reporting back from the Davos meetup, where all the bigwigs of the world make decisions, well, they're all saying that people are interested in AI, in what it can give us. The rate of AI progress, like we've hit this inflection point, we're like right there. And it's about to go like this. And I, for one, am very excited. If you made this far, thank you so much for watching. You're very awesome. I hope you liked it, and I will see you next time. My name is Wes Roth, and thank you for watching.